And welcome to another Cardinals Nest here on HBC TV 25. This is the show about St. Mary's University sports, all of its athletic programs, the teams, coaches, athletes, and we're back with another show here on HBC. I'm Dean Beckman, joined by the Sports Information Director for St. Mary's, Donny Nadeau, and we start things out with our interview segment today, and Jackie Kiecker, our new volleyball coach at St. Mary's, new head coach. Even though you're a new head coach, Jackie, you've been around St. Mary's for a while. This is your 5th year at the school, the 4 previous years spent as the assistant to Mike Lester. So welcome to the show. This is your first time on Cardinals Nest, right?
Yes, thank you.
And congratulations on being the head coach now for the volleyball team. Maybe tell us and our viewers a little bit about your volleyball background, because you have a Division I background at the University of Mississippi, but maybe go back even farther. Where are you from, and how did you get started playing volleyball as a youth, and then how did you end up at Mississippi and eventually here at St. Mary's?
Well, how I started was my mom was a volleyball coach, so it definitely came from the family of coaches, and my dad was a track coach, and so I was raised in the gym, in the volleyball gym, and in middle school, I just remember going to the gyms and actually participating in practices with my mom because she needed extra people. So started early, and my passion for volleyball grew as, being part of a family of coaches. And, I definitely got that love for the game from my mom. As I grew as a volleyball player, I got exposed to club, which helps you get recruited. And so that's how I was able to come across Joe Getson, who was the coach at Ole Miss at the time, and he was a really great coach, and so recruited me from Greenville, small town Greenville, Texas, to Oxford, Mississippi. So it was definitely a time of growth and a fun time with volleyball. So
your collegiate career got cut short with an injury, but you right away picked up the coaching aspect of it, and like you had said, a lot of that probably came from your mom. But talk a little bit about the time that you were at Ole Miss as an assistant coach, and kind of how that kind of drove you to really end up here at St. Mary's.
Well, yes, I did get cut short of back injury. It took me out, and Joe Getson at the time knew that I had a passion for coaching, and so he really took me under his wing of, okay, this is a time for you to learn now. You're on the bench all the time, so now you can grow as a student coach, and so he really became a mentor for that coaching aspect. So I kept every drill that he ever did in the practices. I was able to run drills if he needed me to. I helped with a little bit of recruiting, just kind of learning and being exposed to that. And so he really mentored me in a place of what I needed to do to continue to coach college. And so, senior year, you're getting ready to graduate. What's going to happen? The fear of senior year. So I just got on the NCAA job market and looked for a job, and I got my first coaching job at Luther College as an intern, and it was a great start for me. It got me in Iowa, and then I really got exposed to the Midwest volleyball scene and was able to make contacts, and that's how I met Mike Lester. Was at a camp at St. Mary's, and then just from then on we made contact, and then he looked to me for an assistant, and that's how I made my way to
One question before we go back to volleyball. I just want to know what a Texas girl who went to Mississippi thought about Northeast Iowa and then Minnesota, because that's kind of a drastic change climate-wise, right?
It is. I miss the heat, but it was definitely just looking for a job opportunity. I didn't care where I had to go. I just wanted to continue coaching college, and that job came up, and I just wanted to grab it with both hands and go for it and just jump right into it. Moving away from family was difficult, but then I created a new family here with coaches and different programs, and so yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the difference between the first 4 years at St. Mary's as an assistant to now this year as a head coach. What's been the probably the most surprising thing for you, or the hardest thing for you to do transitioning from an assistant to a head?
I think the hardest thing is that my relationship with the team has changed in a way that I was a person for them to come and talk to. I was kind of that bridge of communication for the head coach and players, and now I'm that head coach where it's a bit harder to go to the head coach who makes all the decisions, and so that has probably been the most difficult, but I'm also enjoying that role too, because my opinion holds a lot more weight, and that now I have that assistant that can also act as that chain of communication for me, and I understand that position fully. But that's probably been the most challenging, but I feel that the past 4 years here as an assistant under Mike Lester, he has prepared me very well, and so the transition was a lot easier than I thought, with just making decisions, coming up with lineups that work, creating a good relationship with every single player on the team. And so I feel that he provided me with exactly what I needed to be prepared as a head coach.
And your team's off to a great start, 10-4, 1-0 in the conference with a big match against Augsburg on Wednesday as we tape this. How has the beginning of this season gone for you? Is this about where you hoped to be at this stage in the season, or where are you at from a coaching perspective?
From a coaching perspective, I'm seeing a big pool of really buying into the changes that we're making, and I'm happy with where we're at right now. We have, like every program, we have those dips of uncertainty of, okay, the change is happening, this is drastic change, how are we going to react to it? And so it becomes an opportunity to teach them, we embrace that change, and the changes that I want to bring are things that I believe will help us. And so I think the team has bought into it very well. Practices are different, but they have really enjoyed it. I've gotten really good feedback from them, and so where we are now, I'm really happy with that. We're in the middle of our season, and experiencing some bumps and bruises, but they are really coming back from it. We have a great training staff, and so I'm happy with where we're at now, and I hope we continue to build, because I'm ready to keep going in the MIAC.
One of the crazy things about volleyball to me in terms of scheduling is you play so much in tournaments. You play 4 matches in a weekend. Now all of a sudden you get a week like this where you play 2 matches, one on Wednesday, one on Saturday. Then you don't play again until next Saturday or next Friday. Is it a good time for maybe a slowdown, or how does the schedule kind of work in terms of, as the coach, how do you make it work? Because you get the first 3 weekends you're playing in 3 tournaments, so you've got 12 matches right there. You've got a conference match in there. It seems like it's really bunched, and then you get a little bit of a break.
I think this break is well needed for us. I believe those 3 tournaments prepared us very well for conference play. We had those tough teams in those 3 tournaments. With Carthage and WashU, and feel that we went hard at first, and now's the time to, we see what we're able to do. We'll continue to grow, but we also need that rest of, okay, we know where we're at. How are we going to continue to build on that? And so I'm happy for this break that we have, but it's no time to sit back and just say, okay, we can do it from here. We get in the gym and we continue to work, and we watch film and we break down things that we need to continue to get better at, because now is that stretch of MIAC games, and these are the ones that matter. All games matter. I want to win every game that we play, but MIAC play is really important. And so I'm looking forward to the break, because I think there's going to be practices where we won't even play 6-on-6. We'll do more individual technique stuff, and so I'm really looking forward to having some time to do that.
Jackie, besides all of the on-court issues you have to deal with as a head coach, there's also some administrative functions. One of those is hiring an assistant coach, and you brought in Lex Krogstad. So tell us what you saw in Lex and why you thought she'd be a great fit for the team.
Well, I coached Lex for about 2 years, and I really enjoyed her on the court. I loved her energy. She is somebody that is very passionate about everything that she does, and I really wanted to have that on the coaching bench too. And talking to her this summer as I started to prepare to hire an assistant, every time I talked to her, she's like, I just want to coach. I want to come back to St. Mary's and I want to coach. And so seeing that passion from her, I knew that that's what I wanted. And she was a DS here, a libero, one of the best liberos to come through. And she does so well with all the DSs now. They respect her and they take everything that she says. And so I knew that that was going to happen, because our coaching staff, consists of, I was an outside, I trained setters, Chris Rohde coaches our middles, and then Lex works with our libero DSs. And so I knew I wanted that part of the puzzle to be completed as a coaching staff. And so I love her passion, and she's not afraid to challenge me in my decisions, which is what I want, because I need that perspective. I don't want somebody to say yes all the time. I want that challenge, because that's going to make us better.
And Jackie, one last question. Speaking of liberos, we're going to bring one on next. Clare Tack, your senior libero. She's going to be in your seat next. What should we know about Clare that maybe she won't tell us?
Well, she, through these 3.5 years that we've seen her, first 2 years she didn't play. But she worked very, very hard, and last year she entered a DS role, and this year she's really come into that libero position. And you know, something that I don't know if she'll say this, but she's worked very, very, very hard on and off the court to get to where she is now, and now she is somebody that we have to have on the court. We have to have her, and you know, she brings that leadership and that maturity and just that calmness as well. So that's something I would definitely say about her.
All right, Jackie Kiecker, our new head volleyball coach at St. Mary's. Thanks for being on the program. Good luck the rest of the year.
Thank you.
All right, stay tuned. We'll be right back, and we'll talk to the senior libero on the volleyball team, Clare Tack, here on the Cardinals Nest on HBC.
Pick your channels, not your nose. With HBC's Essentials Plus, pick and choose the channel packs of your choice without getting your fingers dirty.
Bring on the most opinionated guys in the game.
Everybody's a critic. Everybody gets an opinion.
We used to respect wisdom. These young people today don't.
Add a few friends.
We got 6 Super Bowl rings here between the 4 of us.
And go all in.
I'm tough to block, my man. Sometimes I hit a little hard. Did you forget that? Man with the hat.
Before the game, get the truth.
Move on, please.
Speak for yourself. Weekdays at 5 Eastern on FS1.
Effects has the movies.
Take a look at the wall.
Look at that. Look, Effects has the movies.
What? Hey, look, it's effects.
Effects has the movies. Effects.
This is amazing.
Effects has the movies. Effects has the movies. Effects has the movies. Effects has the movies.
What's a Southern girl? It's waking up before the sun rises. It's loving the simple things in life like the dirt roads that lead you home. It's working hard to get what you want. It's hanging your own stands, breaking your own ground, and strategizing every little move for that one moment when everything you've worked for is standing right in front of you. Even if I fail a million times, I keep pushing myself till I'm exhausted, filthy, and about to give up. And that's when the adrenaline hits.
And welcome back to the Cardinals Nest here on HBC TV 25. And now we have the senior libero from the volleyball team joining us. It's Clare Tack. Clare, thanks for being on the Cardinals Nest with Donny and I. And is it a little bit strange kind of sitting off on the side as your head coach talks about you on a TV show? That's
maybe just a little bit. But
she had all good things to say,
all
right?
Yeah. That's good to know.
So Clare, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, how you got started in volleyball, and then how you ended up coming to St. Mary's.
Oh, sure. So I am a double major in marketing and graphic design. I went to Aurora Central Catholic High School, and I played for Team 1 out of Aurora, Illinois. So I actually live in St. Charles, Illinois, but then I commuted to Aurora every day.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and how about why St. Mary's? To come in and course academics and then play some volleyball.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I was going through the recruiting process, I was looking for small D3 schools that I could potentially play volleyball at, and I looked for that tight-knit community as well as the competitive atmosphere that St. Mary's has, and it just stood out, and I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, all right, great.
Talk a little bit about, Coach Kiecker had hinted a little bit, the first 2 years you were here, you had to play behind a pretty good libero who happens to now be your assistant coach, but she mentioned the determination that you had, the hard work that you put in. How does it feel now to be in the position you're in? Because I'm sure those first 2 years were probably a little frustrating in that you're probably not used to sitting on the bench and not playing a lot, and now you've stepped into that role. Talk a little bit about that process.
Yeah, so coming into St. Mary's, I kind of knew that was going to happen, just because that's what Coach Lester, anticipated, and following Lex's footsteps. That was it. It's never easy. Being in a bench position is very challenging mentally, but it helped me grow as a person overall, because you want to be that light for someone. You want to pick up the team and do what you can. And then transitioning into being able to play, it's been amazing. I mean, I absolutely love it. And you really respect every single person on the team because everyone plays a role. You know, following behind Lex, I mean, that's kind of an awesome role model.
Yeah, what would be one or two things that you learned from Lex while you were sitting and watching? What are some things you learned from her that you're now trying to implement on the court?
I would say the biggest thing is just like her relentless pursuit, which is a huge theme that we've had this year, is just going after every single ball no matter what, day in and day out, and never giving up. And then just being that motivator for the entire team. You know, when we're having an off day, just trying to constantly keep positivity and keep the encouragement going along.
Mm-hmm. You know, I asked Coach Kiecker this question, and the schedule that you have is very intense in the beginning, lots of tournaments, lots of matches. Now you kind of have a little bit of break where you don't play quite so many matches. As a player, how does your body feel right about now in the season? You're about, you know, a quarter of the way, a little over a quarter of the way done. Is this a great time for an athlete to have a little bit of a break where you're not playing 4 matches in a weekend?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is the time of the year that everyone's kind of hurting a little bit, but you know, we're taking the rest that we need and then getting ready for all our big matches that we have coming up. So it's nice because you get the repetition and the practice in that you need to build up for this conference that's coming up, and then just being ready to go and resting when you can.
You know, we had talked too about the team now 10-4 on the season as you really start hitting the meat of the conference schedule now. What are you seeing as one of the senior players out there as some of the strengths of the team, and then where are you seeing some areas where you can still improve?
I would say our strengths are definitely, when we're really on. And, you know, it's really exciting to see because every time that we get to that point, it's almost like we take it a step further and a step further, and then just seeing that consistency is where we need to improve, I would say. But every day has been getting better, and our energy has been getting better, so that's another one of our strengths, I would say. And yeah. Good.
What's been the biggest adjustment as a player to Coach Kiecker being your assistant and now being the head coach? If you can just talk from the athlete standpoint, what has been the biggest adjustment there?
I would say probably just like the day-to-day changes, because you know, we've been doing our routine for me, I mean, the past 3 years, and now I mean there's different drills. Things should be done a different way a little bit, and just kind of just making those adjustments for, you know, what they're looking for and what is required of us. And I mean, it's nothing that we can't handle though, so.
Being one of the senior players on the team, of course, that comes with it some leadership. So has that been an adjustment for you, and in what ways are you trying to help some of the younger players along a little bit?
Sure, it's definitely been an adjustment. I mean, I really haven't taken a leadership role since I would probably say around my senior year of high school. So I mean, it's been a little while, but I have absolutely loved the transition. It's been, I mean, at first it was kind of strange because it's unfamiliar a little bit, but then I would say at this point, like, I'm feeling pretty confident towards it. And I mean, the other seniors have done a really great job too, is, you know, trying to be the leaders on the team. And then as for helping the younger girls on the team, I mean, it's just being that encouragement.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I lied. I do have some questions. I happened to look at somebody's questionnaire as I got ready for this, and I just have a few questions from it.
Okay.
First off, I asked you who your favorite pro athlete was. First off, she's not a pro, or she wouldn't be playing with you, but you said Brandy Blattner. What is it about Brandy that makes her your favorite player?
So she is just, there are so many moments when I just catch myself being amazed by her. Just her consistency, and on top of that, just how hard she can hit the ball. Just, it's awesome. And then just being right behind her, ready for the ball, it's amazing to see.
Are there times in practice where you're on the other side of the net and you're going to have to dig one of her in, and like, you're not looking forward to it? Right?
Yeah, she would definitely be someone that you would fear on the other side of the net.
Now, another one I asked was, nobody knows how much I'm afraid of, and you said another teammate, Tara Nagy. And what is it about Tara that frightens you so?
It was more of a joke, I would say, but you know, she can be very scary sometimes.
And I did. The last one is I asked a favorite TV character that you would love to spend the day with, and you said Blair Waldorf.
Yes.
Okay, so some people may not know what show that's from.
Okay.
So if you want to explain that,
Yes.
and then what would you do during that day?
So Blair Waldorf is from Gossip Girl, and I absolutely love that show. She has a little bit of an attitude, and she's a fun character. And if I spent one day with her, it would be shopping. Absolutely, because she has the best wardrobe I have ever seen.
So Claire, now as you kind of look ahead to your senior season here, what advice might you give high school volleyball players, maybe a junior, senior in high school, where they're clearly talented enough to maybe play and keep playing at another level? What advice would you have? Because they're sort of in a difficult spot right now, or their high school careers are winding down, but they're thinking about the future too.
I would say just focus on, you know, if one door closes, another door opens. When you think something might work out, another door is going to open, and it's in the plan. Like, you're supposed to go where you end up, and just because you might not, a certain school might not work out, another one will. So just keep working hard, keep putting yourself out there, and then you'll end up where you're supposed to be.
And then graphic design and marketing major. So let's talk about your future now. You're graduating in May. So what are you hoping the future holds, or don't you know yet? You're going to worry about that later.
So I'm focusing more towards marketing as of right now. I definitely want to go into sports marketing, just being in sports my entire life. I ideally want to work for either the MLB or the NHL. That would be my dream. So I've just been working towards that with internships and stuff like that. So just really trying to build up my resume until I graduate.
Yep. All right.
Have you thought at all? You hate to think about the end of the season being the end of your volleyball career, but have you thought at all about that? About how you're going to, you know, look back on your collegiate career and really what if you had to sum it up, how would you sum up your collegiate career?
It's sad to think about, but it's coming up, but there's nothing that I will miss more in college. It's just those 4 years of being able to play, and it's really just the team. I'm gonna miss the team the most just because of how close you are, and like it's a family, and just summing it up, just like the relationships that you build and how I'm gonna have these friends for the rest of my life. So.
All right, Clare Tack, thanks for being on the show today. Good luck here the rest of the season.
Thank you for having me.
All right, stay tuned here to the Cardinals Nest. Donny and I will be right back. We'll take a look and summarize all of the other sports at St. Mary's. That's next here on HBC.
Effects has the movies.
Take a look at the wall. Look at that. Look.
Effects has the movies.
What? Hey, look, it's effects.
Effects has the movies. Effects.
This is amazing.
Effects has the movies. Effects has the movies. Effects has the movies. Effects has the movies.
What's a Southern girl? It's waking up before the sun rises. It's loving the simple things in life like the dirt roads that lead you home. It's working hard to get what you want. It's hanging your own stands, breaking your own ground, and strategizing every little move for that one moment when everything you've worked for is standing right in front of you. Even if I fail a million times, I keep pushing myself till I'm exhausted, filthy, and about to give up. And that's when the adrenaline hits.
Pick your channels, not your nose. With HBC's Essentials Plus, pick and choose the channel packs of your choice without getting your fingers dirty.
Bring on the most opinionated guys in the game.
Everybody's a critic. Everybody gets an opinion.
We used to respect wisdom. These young people today don't.
Add a few friends.
We got 6 Super Bowl rings here between the 4 of us.
And go all in.
I'm tough to block, my man. Sometimes I hit a little hard. Did you forget that? Man with the hat.
Before the game, get the truth.
Move on, please.
Speak for yourself. Weekdays at 5 Eastern on FS1.
And we're back here to wrap things up on the Cardinals Nest on HBC, taking a look at all of the other sports action going on at St. Mary's. And Donny will begin with soccer. Men's and women's soccer, a couple of close losses to conference foe St. Olaf.
Yeah, it was a tough Saturday for the Cardinals, both losing 2-1 in overtime. Men played a very good game. Unfortunately, got a bad break in the 5th minute of overtime to lose that one to the Olies. And then the women, talk about a hard luck loss in that they take it to overtime and then get scored on with 2 seconds left in the first overtime. So a tough start for them in terms of the conference. They both played St. Thomas last Wednesday and lost. The women 2-0 and the men 2-1. But they're playing very good soccer right now. A lot of season to go. I know I talked to Coach Bowers and to Coach Cassidy, and both of them feel good about the way they're playing. They just need to be able to start getting some results for that effort. And unfortunately, Saturday was one of those that really does kind of break your heart a little bit, in that you play well enough to win and come out on the short end of an OT loss.
Right. Cross country also, the St. Olaf Invitational, St. Olaf theme last week. How did cross country do?
Austin O'Hare and Danielle Frankie did extremely well for both teams. Austin finished 20th individually. It was a huge race, over 25 teams, several of which were nationally ranked. So I know Coach Barrett was happy to see the team compete against some of the top teams in the Midwest, if not the nation. And I think he was pretty happy with the way they progressed from the first meet that they ran into this one, and he'll be looking for the same in 2 weeks when they get back on the course again. So good individual performances from O'Hare and Frankie, and hopefully that can continue as the season progresses.
And the women's golfers were at the D3 Classic.
Yeah, great performance by Grace Gillis. She had to kind of step into one of the top roles with a couple of their regular golfers missing last weekend. She carded 2 career best rounds, had never broken 100 in a collegiate meet, and she comes up with a 94 and a 90, so a 184 total. A great performance by her, and hopefully once Coach Rangard gets everything back together again now with all of his female golfers, they'll be able to really put things together as they get ready for the conference championships in 3 weeks.
And Donny, just 30 seconds left. The men's golfers in Galena, Illinois.
Yeah, Bryce Gillespie, what a great performance from him. A 73 in his first round, 1 over par, and came back with a 77 the second day, finished tied for 4th as an individual, helped the Cardinals to a 7th place finish overall. They've got one more meet this weekend at Wisconsin Lutheran, and then they've got the conference championship in 2 weeks. So it's an important time for the golfers to really start putting their best performances together, and hopefully the Wisconsin Lutheran will propel them into a great MIAC.
All right, busy week for St. Mary's sports coming up. We'll have it all for you next week right here on the Cardinals Nest on HBC.